Today, I'm going to teach you a single word that radically transformed and improved every relationship in my life. It sounds crazy, I know, but this is a concept so simple and powerful that I believe if everyone understood it, our world would look entirely different. But before I teach you the word, we need to back up a little bit and talk about why the English language lets us down here. In English, we have this word, love. And we use that word for all sorts of things. Like we might say, I love that song. Oh, pizza, I love pizza. Greg Clement? Yeah, I love that guy. I love my wife. I love my kids. Or in a pop song, you might hear someone singing, baby, I want to give you my love. You see the problem? We're using the same word to describe all kinds of very different relationships. I feel about pizza differently than I feel about my wife, and it kind of dilutes or cheapens the word, right? Well, the ancient Greeks had a way around this problem. They had 4 different words for love, and I want to teach them to you now. The first is storge. This is the kind of natural familial comfort and love that develops within families. So think like between siblings or other family members. It's comfortable, it's natural, it's familiar. Then there is phileo. This is like warm, emotive love. So fond feelings for a close friend, like a deep camaraderie and mutual respect. Think like people that you just feel good around. You love hanging out with them. This is where we get words like philosophy, which is just phileo sophia, right? The love of wisdom. This is the kind we mean when we say, I love pizza, or I love hanging out with you. It means I feel good about it. Beyond that is eros. This is where we get the word erotic. And it's a sexual kind of a love, the attraction and desire that you feel when you're in a sexual relationship with someone. So when a pop song sings, I want to love you all night long, they aren't talking about storge and they're not talking about phileo. They are talking about eros. It's passionate, it's romantic, and it's important, but it's not the ultimate kind of love. The ultimate kind of love, what the Greeks believed was the highest form of love, that's the one I want to teach you about today. It's my favorite word in the world. They called it agape. Now, we don't have a good English word for agape, so I'm going to need a bunch of words to try to explain it. Here is about the best definition of agape that I've ever heard. Okay. Agape is a decision to act in the best interests of the other, even if they don't know about it, or request it, or deserve it, or acknowledge it, or reciprocate it. Let me say that again because it's that important. Agape is a decision to act in the best interests of the other, even if they don't know about it, or request it, or deserve it, or acknowledge it, or reciprocate it. It's unconditional love. That means there are no conditions on it. This kind of love isn't dependent on what the other person does. It's not subject to any special terms or conditions. It will happen no matter what else happens. Notice though, that there's nothing in this kind of love about feelings. Agape is a decision. It's not a feeling. It's a deliberate choice, a commitment to act in the best interest of the other, regardless of how they treat you. Now, this kind of love is, it's just completely opposite to our natural instincts. If you're anything like me, our natural tendency, our default mode is tit for tat, right? Like, surely you've seen this in yourself. Someone treats you poorly, screw them. If someone hurts me, my default mode is to want to hurt them back. I want them to know what it feels like. And after all, they deserve it, right? Usually, you want to hurt them back a little bit worse than they hurt you, right? And what happens when you do that? Well, now they have a great reason to hurt you even worse. It's a kind of cycle that feeds itself and it just gets worse. And our world is full of people stuck in these kinds of cycles. How many relationships, friendships, marriages have fallen apart because people got sucked into the gravity well of trying to get even? It never works. It's just not a good strategy for relationships that last a lifetime and bring deep happiness. So how do you break the cycle? Agape is the answer. It's the simplest idea, but it might be the hardest thing you've ever done. Jesus once said that the best way that you could identify his true followers would be this kind of love. He famously told his disciples, you've probably heard this, to love their enemies. Love my enemies? Without understanding agape, that doesn't even make sense, right? How could I phileo my enemies? I'm definitely not interested in eros-ing my enemies. So what's he really saying? Well, He's not telling us to feel good about our enemies. He's not even telling us to like our enemies. If someone hurts you deeply, you're not going to like them. You're not going to feel warm and fuzzy about them. But remember that feelings have nothing to do with agape. The whole point of agape is that it's not dependent on how you're feeling. Remember, there are no conditions on it. In fact, it's precisely those moments when you least feel like it that agape is most crucial. That's when you really need to do it. You're deciding to act in the other person's best interests. You're breaking the cycle. So let's get concrete. Let me give you some examples. Here's an easy one. Let's say you're out at a restaurant and the server has an attitude. They're treating you poorly, getting you snark, whatever. You could reflect that energy back to them, right? You could fire some quick one-liners, maybe even complain to the manager. Totally reasonable. Surely they deserve it. But what if instead you almost saw it as a challenge to change their energy, right? Maybe they had something going on outside work that's stressing them out. So what if instead you used their name? You ramped up your warmth, maybe even asked, is everything all right, man? You okay? Rough day? Now, who knows? Maybe this person is just a jerk. Maybe they don't respond. Maybe what they really do need is a reprimand from their boss. But that's kind of besides the point. You can't control how they respond to your kindness, but you can control how you respond to their unkindness, right? Here's a harder one. Imagine you're on a team at work and there's someone who's been consistently rude to you, cutting you off in meetings, making snide comments, just like being a thorn in your side. And one day, you learn that they're about to present their big idea to upper management, but you also catch wind that there's a serious flaw in their plan, something they've overlooked that could completely undermine their pitch. Now, they haven't asked for your help. In fact, based on how they've treated you, they probably wouldn't even accept it if you offered. You could let them fail. They've earned it, right? They've been a jerk, and now their arrogance is going to cost them. But instead of letting them walk into that meeting blind, you could decide to quietly fix the issue without them ever knowing. Maybe you send an anonymous note that points out the flaw, or you just adjust a detail behind the scenes that smooths out the problem. They go on to have a successful presentation, secure the deal, and they never even realize that they would have fallen flat on their face without your intervention. In that moment, you just practiced agape. You've chosen to act in their best interests without any expectation of getting anything in return, no praise, no gratitude or reciprocation. They might even continue to be rude to you. But what you did wasn't about how they treat you. It was about the kind of person you want to be. It was about refusing to let bitterness and resentment dictate your actions. That's the essence of agape. It's doing what's best for another person, even when there's nothing in it for you and no one to applaud your effort. When I first learned about this concept, it was from my father. I was 18, and he introduced me to the word agape. A lot of what I'm sharing with you today, I learned from him. And when he explained it to me, it was like a light bulb went off, because suddenly all those years that I had seen him doing dishes, serving my mother, doing laundry, just taking care of our family in a self-sacrificial way, suddenly it all made sense. This is what was driving him. He had made a commitment to become a man of agape. Now, we're going to talk a lot more about agape over these 40 days. And if there's one idea I want you to take away from our 40, it's this one. But like I said, just because it's simple doesn't mean it's easy. At times, it will be the hardest thing you've ever done, because you will want to get even, you will be able to tell yourself you deserve to get even, but you've made a commitment to act in another person's best interests. I'm telling you, if you get this down, agape is a superpower. Agape can change the world, and if you commit to it, it'll change your life.